Good evening, and we are live from the CBS Arena, Coventry, for Ipswich Town's latest championship match. It's first versus third here in the second tier this evening. Season's greetings to you all. Hope you've all had a good Christmas so far. Hope you've worked out what day we're on in this weird in-between bit. I believe it's a Monday, and we're playing a 6 p.m. kickoff, which is quite discombobulating, but there you go. We're here. The games are once again coming thick and fast in the championship. Which version of Ipswich Town are going to turn up tonight? It was a bit of a Boxing Day bore fest, wasn't it? At Millwall, 0-0 that one. Can Ipswich Town do better tonight against superior opposition? They've beaten Coventry once this season, not so long ago, of course, as well. 3-0 at Portman Road at the start of December. Probably not a 3-0 game, if I'm honest, in reflection. The first half could easily have tipped another way, but Ipswich found a way to be clinical, which has not always been the case this season in the second half, and ended up running away with it, didn't they, with that as-on goal late on, proving the icing on the cake. How are you all? I'll take some thoughts, if there are any, before we get on to team news. Super Bowl 1967. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. We're nearly there, aren't we? Good evening, says Justin. This might be a hard watch, is the first thought there from Mike. Possibly, yeah. This time of year, we all love a bit of festive football in this country, don't we? It gives us something to watch. Doesn't always provide the best of games when there's so many matches squeezed into a period of time. My mind always goes back to the championship promotion season and that turgid 0-0 against QPR over this period. We had a 0-0 at Stoke. I think that was New Year's Day off the back of that. Sometimes the games can just catch up on squads, and you don't always get the best of spectacles. That certainly was the case on Boxing Day. For Ipswich, there can't really be that excuse for fatigue with the options that Kieran McKenna has for rotation, does he? So, as I said right at the start, you never know what version of this Ipswich you're going to get on any given day at the moment. And that's before we get on to some more. That's backed up by Paul here, who says, still don't trust this team. Half a season to change this. I think that probably sums it up, doesn't it, Paul? They haven't quite won over hearts and minds yet, have they, this new look Ipswich Town squad? The stats aren't bad at all. Third in the table. I think, what are they, second, third top goal scorers, third meanest defensive record. Have never gone more than 2 games without losing since the transfer window shut. So a lot of the stats underpinning it all are pretty decent, but they haven't passed the eye test enough, have they? Yes, there's been some big results along the way. 5-0 against Sheffield United, the East Anglian Derby victory, a pair of 4-1 wins at QPR and Swansea along the way. But in amongst all of that, even on days where they've won, Hull away, or days where they've got a result, Blackburn at the end, the performances have not been convincing, have they? They've not really set pulses racing. And here we are at the halfway stage, and we still don't quite know which way it's going to go. Right, this is a good one to start us off on team news. Hoping for a good performance, says Sean. Why is Davis out? Well, let's start with the team, and as Sean rightly points out, no Leif Davis today, and he misses out through illness. Kieran McKenna has confirmed that in a Town TV interview. So a rare match with Leif Davis not at left back. He's been an absolute machine, hasn't he, since he's arrived at Ipswich Town. Barely missing any. There he is. AJ just popping his head in shot. But there is 4 changes from the Millwall starting 11 today. One of those is at left back. Leif Davis out through illness. And Kieran McKenna's gone with Jacob Greaves at left back. He could have gone with Ashley Young, who has played there. Ben Johnson can also play there. But he's gone with Jacob Greaves, who was the man who filled in for Leif Davis, if you remember, at the back end of the Premier League season when Leif Davis had that controversial red card against Arsenal. I say controversial, for me it wasn't red. What was that? It was on Saka, wasn't it? Bit of a studs up silly challenge, and he was out for 3 games. Jacob Greaves was the man who filled in, and I thought he did quite well there for someone who's known as being a big aerially dominant centre half, he doesn't mind the marauding run forwards. He had a game earlier this season, and I'll see if AJ can remind me, where Greaves ended up being chucked on as a left back.
Swansea, I believe.
Swansea away, yeah, and he ended up.
There, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was Swansea, right? And he was. Ipswich were well ahead at that stage, and he enjoyed himself there, rampaging up and down the left. So he can do it. I think he played it a fair few times for Hull as well, and I guess he's probably the more pragmatic option away from home against the league leaders. So, interesting choice of replacement for the ill-Leaf Davis at left back. Watford, AJ's. You think it was Watford? The Watford home game, we think we've concurred on. Anyway, I remember him coming on, and it would have been Watford. That's right, because Ipswich would have been chasing a winner in that game, and Greaves came on and really was contributing to the attack. So Watford at home was the match where he's done it this season. Change in midfield, Jack Taylor in for Jens Kjuster. Kjuster started the last two. It looked like Taylor had kind of made that position his own. But Kjuster started the last two, was really good against Sheffield Wednesday, one of Ipswich's better performers in that match. Had a really good role, didn't he, in the second goal that game, where he's a bit body swerving, took Ipswich sort of up the pitch. In that one, kept his place at Millwall. I don't know if it's a fitness issue with Jens Kjuster, but the consistency hasn't been there from him this season, whether that's game to game, whether that's within games. For 20 minutes or so in a match, he looks like a world beater at this level, and then he fades away. So there's always going to be a bit of rotation around the corner when it comes to Jens Kjuster. I think he's managing his knees, that's well documented. Jack Taylor back in for this one. And then just a couple of changes in the front four. Sindre Varageli in for Casey McAteer on the right. Still not quite happening for Casey McAteer, is it, since that £11.5 million move from Leicester? What I will say in Casey's defence is was very unfortunate not to walk off with an assist in the latter stages against Sheffield Wednesday. Was quite lively when he came on at Leicester as well. Probably could have had an assist at Millwall on Boxing Day as well if Ivan Azon had made more of that near post chance as well. So, but the narrative around Casey is it's just not happened for him at the start of his Ipswich career. Sindra back in on the right today, another who's kind of finding his feet in English football. £30 million almost between those two, and there's already a bit of a clamour for a fit again. Wes Burns on the bench again tonight to be starting games of football. So I guess that's a bit of a knock on the right wing recruitment from Ipswich. Throw in Chio Bene, £9 million for him, who's been Sheffield Wednesday want to cut short his loan. He's had some injuries there again, but it's Sindra who starts on the right tonight, and then the left-sided swap that we've seen a few times this season. Jack Clark in for Jaden Philogene. Both of them very much talismanic figures in terms of goals for Ipswich this season. Clark scored here in the 4-1 win in the FA Cup back in January, which feels like a long time ago now. Otherwise unchanged. So the team in four is Walton in goal, back four of Furlong, O'Shea, Kipre and Greaves at left back. Midfield duo of Matassi. Well, I'm looking away still from a two-game ban, of course. Glad that he's managed to walk the tightrope over the last few games to be available for this one today. Jack Taylor, Sindre Varageli, Marcelino Nunez still in the number 10. Jack Clark on the left, and Ivan Azon continues up front. Lots to like from Ivan Azon this season in terms of his hustle, bustle, work rate. None of that is in question. What is in question is his finishing. He's got 2 goals to his name so far. One of those, as I said, put the icing on the cake against Coventry. Scored at Swansea away, didn't he, as well? But he's left a lot of goals out there, and Boxing Day was another one where he couldn't take a really good chance. He's got to start scoring goals because there's a January transfer window about to open in a few days' time, and I think with Hurst currently injured, hopefully not for the long term, but there was a fitness question mark against Hurst already before this latest setback, probably one over form as well. Chuba Akpom is a number 9 option, but hasn't been called upon today. Another one who's not quite hit the ground running at Ipswich, I would imagine striker could well be on the shopping list. So another opportunity for Even Azon from the start today. Any more thoughts before we get into the Coventry team and the game ahead? Jason here. Evening, where is SS? That's Sammy Schmodix. Third game in a row that he's not been in the squad. He had a little knee op, didn't he? Set back, came back, he had a few cameo appearances off the bench, and this is the third game in a row he's missed through what Kieran McKenna has described as illness. I know there's a load of conspiracy theories knocking around online on social media about him and potentially being off in January. It's not impossible that he misses 3 games in a very short space of time. Sheffield Wednesday, Millwall, and this is 3 games in 10 days. If you're horribly ill, it's not impossible that you can miss that number of games in a short period of time through illness. I can only go on what Kieran McKenna is saying at the moment, and that's illness. But I'm aware of the conspiracy theories out there. I haven't got anything to confirm or deny those. The question will be asked to the manager post-match again today, and we'll see what he has to say. But 2 Golden Boot winners in the number 10 position, and neither of them from the start today. Sammy Schmodix out ill, and Chuba Akpom on the bench. Nunez, who was signed to be an 8, continues in the 10 role, which again speaks of a little bit of muddle recruitment there, doesn't it? Michael here. Good morning from Brisbane. Good morning, Michael. Let's hope for a good display from Town and 3 points. Amen to that. Dino again asking about Schmodix. Is he on his way out? Just covered that one, Dino. Thanks for joining me. Where do you think the goals will be coming from, says Daniel here. $1 million question, isn't it? Ipswich, let me just look at the table quickly. 38 goals from 23 league games so far this season, which makes them second top goal scorers, only to Coventry, who are well ahead on 54. They were putting goals past people for fun. That's dried up a little bit of late, and I'll come on to that in a minute. Sorry, third top goal scorers, Hull 39. So, on paper, Ipswich Town is scoring goals, and you look at their squad, and there should be goals galore. You hear commentators every week talk about the embarrassment of attacking riches for Ipswich, and yes, on paper, there is that. How many teams would Jack Clark walk into in this division? Most, I would suggest, and Ipswich have the luxury of using him as a super sub most weeks. Today he rotated for Jaden Philogene. Chuba Akpom, someone who scored goals galore at this level. But at the moment, especially off the back of Millwall, it's hard to say, isn't it? You strip Philogene and Clark out of it, doesn't feel like there's tons of goals in there. Marcelino Nunez, a couple of his goals have been from free kicks, of course. Hasn't done too much to be a goal threat from open play. Even Azon, as I say, has not been prolific, wasted some really good chances. Midfield, is there goals coming from a midfield duo of Matasiwa and Taylor? Matasiwa doesn't look like someone that's going to score many goals. Not too many forward forays for him. Sitting in front of the back four, I don't think he's going to chip in the same way that Sam Morsey did from that position. Jack Taylor, we know, can score a worldie. He scored a few from outside the box in that championship promotion season, but I can't remember the last time he tested a goalkeeper from range, and he's had quite a few minutes now this season. Sindre Baletegeli scored goals galore for Norway at youth team level, plenty in Danish football as well. Just 2 to his name so far, the late equaliser at Blackburn and the opener against Coventry. He's not been super prolific either. I can think of a couple of chances in the first half of Blackburn. Another couple of chances at Millwall on Boxing Day 1 in particular, where he just tried to open his body up and curl it in and just didn't wrap his foot around it and put that well wide. So we need to see some more goals coming from the 9, from the right winger and from the number 10. The load can't be carried by the 2 left wingers throughout the season, and we need to see midfielders and defenders chipping in at set pieces as well today, with Reeves, O'Shea and Kipra all on the pitch tonight. And that could be an opportunity for Ipswich from set pieces from corners. Let's see some of those 3 getting their heads on the end of things. We got hello from Dusseldorf here, from Ren. Hello. Guten Tag. What else we got? Adam here, another issue. My only issue this season is when we concede first. Yeah, Ipswich's record going behind, I think from memory, is 10 times this season they've gone behind in games or conceded the first goal in games. 5 draws from that and 5 defeats. So a slightly positive spin is that in half of those games they've salvaged something. But yeah, going behind in 10 games isn't good enough for a team that should be right up there this season, and as a team that, you know, should be challenging for the top 2 this season, you would hope for a better return than those 5 points from that record. A few of you not sure about Azon today. Jamie there, Azon, fingers crossed again. Mike, Azon with a skull and crossbones emoji. So you're not convinced on Ivan at the moment. Lovely guy that he is. His goal scoring record isn't quite there at the moment, is it? Coventry fans in full voice as we approach kickoff. What will be 4 minutes away at the moment. Coventry, yeah, as I say, 3-0 winners Ipswich at Portman Road earlier this season. 2 changes for them after their 1-0 home win against Swansea on Boxing Day. They've got a change at left back with Jake Bidwell dropping out, Brown coming in at left back, and a change up front with Ellis Sims dropping to the bench. And Hadji Wright, who's been a bit more of a winger for them in recent times, he starts up front. Luke Wolfenden is the headline, really, isn't it? The first time that Luke Wolfenden, Ipswich boy, through and through, key man in the back-to-back promotions. He felt he should have played more in the Premier League season. Always did well when he played at the heart of the back three. He's left. He's made some comments, some vague comments about politics being involved in team selection. That's obviously referring to the fact that he felt multi-million-pound players had to play ahead of him. He's left. He went on deadline day for $4 million. Minutes have been hard to come by for him at Coventry because of the form of Bobby Thomas and Liam Kitching at centre half. But Bobby Thomas is out injured. That's opened the door for Wolfie, and he's got in the team recently, and he stays in the team today. So let's see how he does against his boyhood club today. I'll run through their team quickly. Rushworth in goal, someone who's been linked to Ipswich in the past, really good with his feet. Ewick at right back, Kitchen, Wolf and Brow. Central midfield two, Torp and Grimes. Grimes is a top championship centre midfielder, comes from Swansea. I put him right up there in championship midfielders. He can really pull the strings if you're not careful. Sakamoto on the right, who was injured for the game at Portman Road a few weeks ago. Rodoni in the 10, Mason Clark, ex-Peterborough on the left, and Hadji Wright up front. Coventry, as I say, were blowing people away 5s, 6s, 7s earlier in the season. But since that defeat at Portman Road, the goals have dried up a little bit. They had a 1-1 draw at Preston. Preston were down to 10 men for more than half of that match. They were held to a 1-1 there. They had a 1-0 home win against Bristol City. They drew 1-1 at Southampton. And then, as I say, a 1-0 against Swansea on Boxing Day here. So, having scored a lot of goals earlier in the season, they're down to 1s and 0s now. Ipswich struggling for goals a little bit, but have tightened up at the back. Does that mean that we're in for a low-scoring one tonight? Possibly. I've gone for 1-1. AJ, you've gone for 2-1 defeat. He's gone for a 2-1 defeat. I think Ross has gone for a draw. Mark's gone for a narrow defeat in our very own tight predictions league. A few of you here. 2-2 draw, says Jason. Jamie's gone for a 2-0 win. I like your optimism, Jamie. Michael points out here, if Ipswich lose, the gap goes to 16 points. Does it then become a race to second position? Yes, Michael, I think 16 points would be too much. If Ipswich win tonight, the gap closes to 13, and I think a little bit of hope remains there. If they lose, it opens to 16, and other teams tonight can leapfrog Ipswich, and from third, and we're saying, well, third's pretty decent, suddenly you tumble down the table all of a sudden. So that's where we're at. As we are ready for the Coventry anthem of We Live and Die in These Towns. I'm going to stay on and give you a little flavour for that before I break off. I'm going to give you a little view of what I can see as well. Atmosphere, as you can imagine Coventry having an incredible season at the moment under Frank Lampard. A bit like Ipswich a couple of seasons ago, you can feel it in the air. Tough night for Ipswich ahead. Can they do the double over Coventry? Wow, that would be quite the statement, wouldn't it? I'll see you on the other side.